Hi, Niwel. Thank you for joining me, Niwel, and to talk about Ko Tonga Cheol, which is weaving music in the New Ireland, which is a project that you have been uh, pulling together, really, based on a suggestion from Rhiannon Giddens, who is our artistic partner this year, but who really recommended that we talk with you about what you think is most exciting in Ireland today, musically. And of course, you're Congolese and a singer and guitarist, a prominent figure in Ireland's music scene, and there's a huge influx of diverse nationalities in Ireland today, and really a new music emerging because of this very diverse impact of migration on culture in Ireland. So I'd love it if you could just share a little bit about yourself first, and how you came to music in Ireland, and then also to this project.
Yes, my name is Niwel Tsumbu. I'm originally from Congo, specifically in Kinshasa, the capital. Um, I started playing music because my brother had a guitar, so I kind of fell in love with the guitar. But what happened? I was self-taught for like a year and a half. Then I met a mentor who was kind of started teaching me, and he was the one who kind of told me, if you want to be a good musician, you need to learn and be open to all music of the world. So he kind of put me in that path where I became very interested in, music, all music of, of the world. I'll be interested in like, American music, Indian music, Spanish music. So I was really into that sort of fusion from a very, very early stage of me learning music. Um, and then it was also nice. So for me, it's kind of natural this way. I sort of think this way. For me, I usually say at this stage of my life, I think of music as water. It's just water, and you can change the name. You can call it different names, the Pacific Ocean or the Mississippi River or the Congo River, but fundamentally, they're all just water. Yeah, I think of music the same. When I hear, traditional Irish music, like for instance, when in Ireland, it was cool when I moved to Ireland. I met Micheál O'Sullivan, who was a prominent Irish traditional music, passed away a few years ago. So like I got introduced to Irish music from like a very high level from himself and Mel Mercier, but it was easy for me to do that transition because I was always open to a lot of different music. So yeah, and that's how I got into playing music. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love how you describe music as water. It's such a great image. And what inspired you to collaborate with these specific musicians? We've got Eamon Cagney on percussion, Liz Knowles on the violin, Niall Vallely on the concertina, and Jason Seifer on the double bass. Such a really interesting combination, and curious what inspired you to choose these musicians to work with on this project.
And what the longest musician I've played with is Eamon Cagney. So I've played with him for years. So he's kind of my longest collaborator. And we had the same. We met. It was like we had the same sort of passion and also view of music. He was also coming from. He's from Donegal, but he went and studied African music, drumming in Ghana for a few years, and he was also interested in a lot of different types of music, just like I was. So when I met him, it was like a perfect match, and I've been playing with him for over 15 years. And then Liz and what I've played with Niall before, Niall Vallely. We've played again. I've got because in Ireland I've done so many different um, collaborations. We're mixing African music with traditional Irish music. We've done that a lot. And Niall was at two projects that we worked with. We traveled to China and also play a lot of concert in Ireland. So I was always and I always wanted to do something a little bit more, but we never really got a chance until last year. Music Network, which is an organization in Ireland that puts on concerts, like they're like concert promoters. So they put us together with Liz, and so Liz is Liz and Jason are the newest member that I've played with. Liz was it's just that trio last year. It just we met the first day and it just clicked. Because again, I seem to meet these type of musicians who just they are open. They're grounded in their traditional music, but they're also open-minded to the music of the world. So it just worked so well. And Jason, I've been playing with Rhiannon Giddens. So when I got the opportunity to put on this show, I was like, well, I'd love to put the best of what I've done in the last 20 years since I've been in Ireland, which is myself working with Eamon, and the project last year was also a perfect meeting because they're Niall is coming from Irish traditional music, and also open to lots of music, different music of the world, and same with Liz and Jason. So I was like, it was a no-brainer to choose those musicians.
Ireland. What's the music scene in Ireland like today? That's my real question.
Okay, it's great. I mean, it's but changed a lot from from when I arrived there first. For me, it's always been very open. People have always been very open to what I bring. I really noticed that. As I said, the very first Irish musicians I played with was like Micheál O'Sullivan, who's like top traditional Irish musician, and Mel Mercier. They're all renowned traditional musicians, but they always were open to what I brought. They were really open. It was never this. It was never. I never felt like I was closed or they didn't allow me to. They always say, "Oh, bring what you have." So in my experience, there's a lot of fusion and very open. Very open.
And all of the music is played from by ear. So, for example, with the Irish traditional musicians, I'm a violinist, and when I play, I do play some Irish music just out of a book. I don't really have it in my body, but I'm curious how those collaborations happen. What is it like for a traditional Irish violinist or musician to then work with you and try to start incorporating new sounds? What is your artistic or creative process like in those rooms where you're working together?
Yeah, well, personally, I always love playing by ear. It's always, but I've had to adjust a bit. And I had to learn to read a little bit, because sometimes you meet musicians who can really learn by ear, and also write. I had to learn how to write a bit because it's just much easier for some. But mostly it's by ear. Most people want to learn by ear. Most you find every now and again there's one person who can't. You have to write everything. But in general, it's by ear, just going, just bouncing off ideas. Oh, I have this song, and somebody will play a tune, then I might play accompaniment. Something I like. I notice with a lot of Irish traditional music, they like the way I accompany, because I would not accompany like, I'm not from Donegal or County Clare, so I always bring the influence that I have. But because I have, I approach it very respectfully. As I said, all music for me, I respect music, all music in the same way. So I have that respect of the music. And whenever I'm trying to bring an idea, it's always coming from that place. It's usually very appreciated. And they usually want me to bring something different. Never somebody would say, oh, play like, such and such O'Donovan from Galway or something like that. They always say, bring yourself, bring your tradition, bring your culture. And that's always how I approach this music. Yeah.
And also it's the other way around. Do you find that you're also influenced by the Irish traditional music?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean,
completely. I mean, you can't. But by now, if you want to tell my story, you can't. You have to include traditional Irish music, because I listen to it a lot. I go to sessions. I've done a lot of collaborations, and it's really part. There's songs of me that I've got some ideas from traditional Irish tunes. I love. As much as playing, I love listening to. I love watching people play it. It's really part of my culture.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Right, right. I'm curious when you come to Meany, and again, this is people will be watching this after your performance here, but you're coming in into the U.S. For this project, which is really exciting. We've got some rehearsal time for all of you, and I'm curious when you're together, what are the things you're going to be working on? You're coming, you're all coming from some different places. Some of you are on tour with various artists and in different locations, and how do will this group come together and then be just sort of listening for is this improvisatory? Will there be pieces that you are just rehearsing? I'm curious.
Well, so for me, there would always be improvisation element in everything that I do. So there's gonna be some of that, but there's also composed pieces that I have. I think there's two new pieces, and there's other pieces that I've played with the trio with Niall,
Hmm.
and that we're gonna rearrange so to introduce Eamon and Jason. So they're gonna be coming into it, trying to fit them into those pieces, and also vice versa. There's pieces that I've done with Eamon that we're gonna try to bring the rest of the guys into as well. So there's gonna be element of improvisations and also composed pieces.
Great. We'd love to be able to invite some folks into your rehearsal, but no, I'm not asking you now. I'm just saying that being a fly on the wall in those moments of creative process and coming together is so exciting, and particularly with all the influences that are part of Irish culture that you're bringing forward.
Yeah, that should be, if as long as they don't get bored, because
I know.
creative create I usually say creativity, is a bit messy. When you create, you're trying to play with ideas, and you might try this, might not work, or maybe if from the outside it might look like, what are these guys doing? I don't know,
Yeah.
but if they don't get bored, it's all good.
I'm so curious where you find yourself the most creative. What are the environments that where you find you just really have your best ideas, where the music flows? Is there something that you've found that really works for you?
um huh, that's a good question. Because I'm pretty much, I usually say, as long as there's oxygen, I'm plugged in. I'm ready to go wherever that is. So it could be outside, it could be in a room. What I just like is attention. When I'm rehearsing, I like everybody to be focused. That's what, if there's one person who's not really focused, it would drive me mad. So everybody has to be focused. It's like we have a goal, we're trying to achieve something, and I like to try ideas. Always try any kind of ideas. Never say no straight away. It's okay, might not work, but let's try that. So yeah, I don't really. Yeah, there's no really any favorite place. I've rehearsed in outdoor and in indoors, and it's definitely for playing concert. I know that I love playing indoors because usually outdoor is raining.
Yeah. Well, and how do you find your own focus around this work? Do you have practices that help you, or is it just about getting connected to the music and then I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm curious how you find that focus.
Yes. For me, it's actually what I found out, because I have everybody who's worked with me always mention how focused I am, rehearsing.
Mhm.
But I think goes back to how I learned, because I learned music I mean, life was not easy. Let's just put it that way. I had a very modest family where, you know, um, music was actually what kept me alive, because life was so hard. So, we won't eat for days on end. So as soon as I started playing, I would play for days, and with no food on me. Um, but I found recently I was watching like a documentary that's saying that actually being hungry sometimes focuses you more stronger. There's people doing intermittent fasting. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm saying it right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't eat a lot, especially before rehearsing. I have to eat like 2 or 3 hours before. And so when the focus for me is just, I think it comes from, playing days, from days on end with no food. I have this really strong sense of focus that I don't know where it comes from.
Wow.
Like I love to sit and work on things and until we get it right.
Mhm.
Um, so that's just natural to me.
Mhm. It's powerful. I'm curious, you've been on the road, you're on the road now with Rhiannon Giddens, and what has that relationship been like since she is our artistic partner for this year? How did you meet her and what is it like working with her?
It's amazing. It's just incredible. I met her in 2020 where because I played with Francesco
Right,
Turris.
Chilizi. Hmm.
Yeah, they play with together. So Francesco texted me, say they're looking for a guitarist to record 3 songs with them. So it was actually one song. So I went to the studio and I ended up playing on 3 songs on the album. They're Calling Me Home, which won the Grammy.
I
That
love that album.
and
Beautiful.
and then we started playing concerts since I think the year before, and last year we did it a lot. It's just been amazing. She's so open. I mean, I've never been at a play with people where they allow me to just be myself like she does. I've never had that experience. I was actually just talking to her just like an hour ago here. I've never had that experience when people say, "Oh, just play." They don't no instruction. But what that does, sometimes people feel like they have to say, do this and do this, don't do this, don't do that. But for me, that closes me, because all of my natural intuition will just close because I'm trying to satisfy what they tell me. But her way, the way she does it, I feel like she gives me trust. She
Mhm.
trusts me, and in that way I feel and I understand the vision that she's in her journey, and I feel like I'm just trying to support her vision because she gives me that trust, and I feel I just have to be, sort of accompany her in her vision. I've never had this experience before, so it's just been it's wonderful. It's a pleasure to play with her.
Mm, such a great description of how you work with her. It's interesting because when we were working with Rhiannon to program, she's programmed 5 different, sort of curated 5 different performances for us. She basically said, with many of the artists, she said, just talk to this artist and see what they want to do. So she was said to talk to Newell, and Newell will tell you what he wants to do, and that's exactly what it should be. And
Yeah,
so that's of course what we did. And I reached out to you, and then this came together. But rather than saying it should be this group or that group or this group, she just talked about who are the people that we should be talking to, and then it should be really their choice, which has been, and particularly with you, she was like, just ask Newell and he'll have the great thing. So whatever he wants to do. And we're so excited. This is an incredible project and really grateful that you're coming to the US to perform it for us. And I hope to be a fly on the wall in the creative process moments of your rehearsals. And I'm just really grateful that you're coming, Newell. So
but thanks very much for having us. We're all very, very excited to come, and yeah, for me, like that's gonna be my first time to bring my project in the US, perform my music. So it's historical for me, and so I feel very excited to do this.
that's amazing. Can you just say a little bit more about that? You've been in the US a lot with Rhiannon Giddens, and this is
Yeah,
the first time. I guess I didn't know that. This is the first time.
yes, this will be the first time for me to come, and it's a project that I'm leading and playing my
Yeah,
music. So it's a super exciting, for me. And
that's wonderful.
yeah, and especially also with, as I say, with Amon. I've played with Amon
Yeah, you have. Hmm.
for many years. I always said to him, man, one day we'll get an opportunity to bring the music that we make outside of Ireland to the US. So this is the first time that's happening. So it's definitely a dream that's coming true.
Yeah, well, that's really great. And I know that Cultural Ireland was really excited about this too, that they're able to show, share music, your music, and help to support that. So anyway, thank you so much. I know you're on tour, so you've got a busy day ahead of you.
Yeah,
And in New York, right? That's where you
yeah,
are?
yeah. We were well, today is the day off.
Okay.
We're playing tomorrow here in New York, in Syracuse.
Fabulous. Well, give Eamon, or you're on, Eamon's there, right? Or is it
No,
Niall?
no, and Jason is here.
Jason. Okay, right. Give Jason our best and say hi to Rhiannon for us.
I will.
And we will see you soon. And thank you.